So, I found that I have an addiction to drinking brake fluid. But you know what? I keep telling myself I can stop anytime I like. Anyway, hello everybody and welcome to the Black Dog number 2, episode 9. Hello.
Hello.
Am I meant to say hello to that joke?
Well, you could do if you like. It's
You meant to say fuck off to that joke, actually.
Hey! Come on! Oh. Nice.
That was the last of the gin and tonic.
No,
there we go.
The gin and tonic. Okay, because I was gonna say the other one. The other one was. Do you know about the French guy who invented beach shoes? It was Philippe Fallope. But anyway,
Are we going to pull the? Because I've got one.
go on in.
Did you hear why the decorator had to give up his job?
Go on.
He was finding it all too emotional.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm thinking of taking up mirror cleaning for my jobs. The reason is because I can really see myself doing it.
But on reflection, you thought, that's a bad idea, really.
Stop! Please stop!
No,
Elton, no.
We have time to fill, goddammit, and we shall fill it with whatever shit we come up with. It's the way of it. It's the way of things. Oh dear. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to Black Dog 2, episode 9. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Elton.
And this week we will be seeing how various people's week's been, and then moving on to this week's movie, which was Darren's choice, which was Fyre. Fyre!
I give it to Bird.
Fyre. The greatest party that never happened. So, before we get to that, and for those of you of a nervous disposition, you may want to know that swearing is included in this podcast.
Certainly will be this week.
Oh, Lord,
There might be an awful lot of it.
Yeah, we may reach maximum C velocity within a matter of seconds, I think. But anyway, so before we get to that, let's see how everyone's week's been. And just so everyone knows, I have gone round just to see if anyone's got things to say, because obviously it is lockdown, so we don't always have something to say. But there you go. So I did that, so we might skip Elton. But we'll see. So I'll start with Jim. How was your week, sir?
It has been eventful in a not terribly great way.
Oh, okay.
As I said, the weather decided it was going to change, and it got very rainy the end of last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the practical upshot was I got up somewhat worse for wear in the middle of the night, needing the loo.
Mm.
And the toilet paper was wet. I thought, all right,
no.
I know I'm pissed, but my aim wasn't that off.
Oh, no.
It was absolutely sodden. I look up, and the ceiling in the bathroom was leaking. So there's much running around like a headless chicken, buckets, and then thinking, "Oh, you always do this on a fucking weekend, don't you?"
Oh, God.
But as it turns out, because it continued to rain the entirety of the next day, but actually the leak did stop, even though it was still raining. And when I went outside and sort of had a look, as best you can, and see what's going on the roof, I thought, I can't see anything wrong with the tiles. There's not like one missing, or I can't see any chink or whatever. And there's no like chinks, because they've got like a false ceiling in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I just took the lights, the little drop-down spotlights out and looking. I can't see like an obvious, like, you know, bit of white sky where rain's getting in.
Yeah.
But our house, it shares a gutter with the one next door.
Right.
And I looked across the gutter, and it was pissing down then. And from one end of that gutter, there's like a little small tree where the downspout was. And water was literally just falling off the edge
Yes.
in like quite a high velocity jet just at the corner of the guttering.
Oh,
I'm
Christ.
thinking, I think I know why it's leaked, because obviously the gutters, we had really torrential rain in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And it obviously had filled up, and then obviously I just had a jet of water of overspill jetting onto the bathroom roof and just power washing its way under the tiles, basically.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of all right. I was actually quite glad it rained all the next day, because it did prove my theory of kept going like the gutters aren't overflowing because it wasn't as nearly as heavy, even though it rained all day. So it was draining away, and it was kind of okay. No more water's coming in. Thank Christ for that. It's the guttering. We just need to get the guttering clean.
Well, that's not quite so bad.
No. Not the price of a new roof, so that was good. We're still waiting for a guy to come round and fit us in, but obviously finding someone who's still working in lockdown,
Yeah.
who is reasonable and not a cowboy.
Yes.
Because I'm very aware in the current climate, it's kind of, you can clean my guttering, and you'd be trying to sell me a new roof because work's a bit tight. But we actually kind of the family, well, not said our family hand, but a guy who's done jobs for my dad and put my sister a new bathroom in, and he fitted new bathroom lights in my thing, who's actually very thorough, very careful, very good, and cheap. He's
Nice.
actually he's just actually gone back to work this week, and so he's going to come around and do the gutters and just make sure everything is all right.
Oh, that's
And
good.
and I know he won't charge me an arm and a leg, so thank fuck for that.
Thank Christ for that. So,
Yeah, so
Well,
that
Dodge.
completely justified me buying a synthesizer with the money I took out the bank to fix a leaky roof, and in a mad panic on Friday. It's only a little one, it was only cheap. But that's
Nice.
proper grown-up thinking. It's probably all right, I'm going to spend that money now completely frivolously, because I had such a
Yes.
fucking nightmare. All Saturdays of the weekend just fretting, my roof's going to fall in, and it's going to cost thousands of pounds. And
Oh, God.
so there you go.
Oh, well, there you go. So, but otherwise, all is well in Gymland then.
Well, I'm thinking now, I had a tooth fall out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week I had conjunctivitis and had one eye shut. This week I had a roof leak. That's my 3. It's somebody else's turn now for the curse.
Yeah, you really, really need to get rid of that monkey's paw in your basement. You
Yes.
just don't need it. Oh, dear. Right, okay then. Well, as I said before, Elton, you haven't really got an awful lot happen this week, or have you changed your mind?
No, not an awful lot has happened. Okay, I'll tell you one thing, and it was because of Jim. This one thing happened.
Okay.
Now, how do I explain this? I am a fan of the old retro cartoons, the G.I. Joes,
Yes.
and I can hear someone sniggering in the background there.
No,
There,
no,
there it is again.
What? No.
There it is again.
no, don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
Well, anyway, Jim, thank you very much, mate. You sent me over a little link to a video show on YouTube where they have got round to discussing the old animated G.I. Joe movie, which I watched to death as a child. Flipping love that thing. It's a load of shit, but there's some weird stuff in it, and I won't have a single person say a bad word against that. And throughout the duration of talking of stuff, I learnt maybe one or two little things, which was really, really nice. But I also learnt about this. They just before the actual movies came out, they did like a revamp of the cartoons themselves, and they had like 5-minute webisodes. And
Yeah.
someone has put them all together on Vimeo, I think it is.
Right.
And it's called G.I. Joe Renegade, I think. But, oh my God, it's good. It's so good. The animation is amazing. That people actually die in this as well. And
Really?
yes, it looks shit hot. Do you remember a couple of years ago when there was an anime Star Wars sequence put out on the internet?
Yes.
And everyone lost their shit on that because it looks so different, looks so good, and everyone was like, well, why don't they make Star Wars like this? Because this is much better than what they're going to be putting out soon. it's like that. It hasn't got the anime feel. It's still got like the clean cut jaws of a proper real American, and but they get certain little aspects right where they, Destro's voice, one of the guys there, he's actually from Scotland in his like history, and they give him a Scottish accent, and it just works so good. And I was sat there watching it, going, I wish I was 15 again. I wish I could watch all this all over again.
G.I. Joe Renegades, did you say?
I think it is. I think it's called Renegades.
Yeah. 2010 show.
Yeah.
Just looking it up now. It looks pretty good. The artwork looks all right.
It's really good. As always, the stories are quite poor, but this time round, the artwork looks good. And I was well impressed with this. It's hasn't rejuvenated my love, because I still have a love for it, but it's just nice to find something that you didn't know about that's been hiding in the corner. And when you've been jonesing for that sort of stuff, then this comes along, you're like, oh, that's good. Because sometimes when you're so infatuated with something of like nostalgia quality from your youth, and someone brings out something else, I tend to be very reluctant to go watch that or go find it or go dig into it, because I don't want the old stuff tampered with. And now, me being like a 42-year-old man, sod it. I'm like, oh, do you know what? Let's go crazy, guys. Let's actually watch this. And I did, and I loved it.
And crazy go nuts, and you loved it, yeah? So
yeah,
cool.
I did, yeah. It's not going to be for everyone, but man, it was for me.
So how many times have you watched it? Just the once, or
just the once? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin it. I don't want to burn it out.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it might be worth mentioning that not that you watch it, but Community did an episode where it was all set in a G.I. Joe universe, where people actually died, and everyone was shocked that the good guys were actually shooting the bad guys and killing them. And it's like, that's against the rules, sort of thing.
Well, famously during the old cartoons, nobody gets shot, nobody gets hurt, nobody gets killed. Even in the movie, when they had someone killed and they retconned it because of what happened in Transformers. But this, they go full out and just do it. It's a one-off. They know it's a one-off. They're like, do you know what? Let's just fuck around with this and have some fun. And they do. And it's really good.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Well, we shall leave it there if that's good, if that's cool for you.
Yeah, no, it's fine by me. Thank you very much.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, okay, then in which case, over to you, Mr. Barnard. How was your week, sir?
Well, I've done some stuff this week. You may remember the Ant Saga from last week.
Yes.
Well, I finally sealed up just about every single gap in the walls in the kitchen with filler and the cork type stuff, and not a single ant since.
Wow.
So
you have succeeded.
I think I succeeded in my mission for this summer, at least.
Right.
But the little bastards could get really creative next year. You never know.
Yeah. Well,
could bulldoze in front of the flat in for all I know. But they find a way.
Yeah.
So that was good. Managed to get myself brand new microwave, tried it out, grill, everything, super high tech compared to the last one we had, which was just 2 dials on the front, and you had to hope that the timer was working on it properly. So this has got all kinds of fucking gadgets on it now. And it's a little black monolith that sits in the corner.
Right.
So, very nice indeed. Tried my hand at cooking as well this week. Something very simple. Okay. Barnard's British Bake Off, sort of.
Yeah.
Made some, I think they're called quesadillas.
Quesadillas, yeah.
Quesadillas, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce them?
I think so.
Try my hand at those. Very successful, very simple. Never tried them before, never tried making them. But for anybody that don't know, it's sort of like 2 wraps, and in between that you put in cheese or whatever. Stick them in a frying pan, fry them up. Stuff melts. Take them out, slice them up, eat them. Nice and simple. Very good.
That's it, is it?
Yep. So there's that. And on the video game front, I'll tell you about just two of the games that I played this week. First one, Resident Evil 7.
Yes.
Have you heard of that? I mean, have you
Yes.
seen? You know what I mean? For anybody who don't, in this one, you are trapped in a house. Okay. And you go there looking for your girlfriend who has been missing for 3 years, and you get word that she's in this place. So you go looking for her. It's very nicely, the graphics in it are very nice. Story is okay. It's not too way out there. But I've got to say, for a game that, only came out a couple of years ago, Jesus Christ, get your control system sorted, man.
It's still got the drunken cameraman effect.
Oh no, it's not even that. I mean, it's a first person game, so it's the first Resident Evil that's come out that actually gives you the first person view. Because normally, if you've ever played, it's either over the shoulder or it's like the fixed camera angles. But in this, it's like you try to turn around and it's like wading through toffee. It's like, and you're not only reloading the gun, you're actually making the gun. That's the thing. It's like most reloads, pull out, bang, bang, like 2 seconds, the gun's reloaded. This, they're literally crafting the bullets before your eyes. You know? Yeah, and when it comes to beating the sort of like that section's bad guy, it just really is annoying.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, look, this is how you beat this thing. You've got to shoot all the eyes off its body. It's like, oh really? So you've given me just 4 shots in a fucking shotgun, and it's going to take me half an hour to reload that shotgun every time I get. Oh man,
It's more about
I finished
sneaking.
it in the end.
Yeah.
I did finish it. There's only like about 15 hours worth of gameplay.
I love that. Only 15 hours worth of gameplay. At my rate, it'll probably take me about a month.
Probably will. Fortunately, I got the Game of Year edition, so I've got some other things that need to be played in that. But all in all, I don't know, about 6 out of 10, I'd say, for that one.
Okay.
So it's all right, but wait until it comes right down in price before you come hold of it.
So you're not excited about the Resident Evil 8 that they just announced at the PlayStation thing this week?
Well, if it's any good, then fair enough. But, if you've got the same sort of control mentality with the other one, then you can just fucking forget it.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, no, fuck that for a game of soldiers.
Cool.
And the other one, a little bit more interesting than that. This is let's see, what's the name of it here? It's, sorry, 1 minute there. Oh, it's Omen Sight, sorry. Omen Sight.
Yeah.
Now, I'll read you out the blurb because it's probably explain it better than I would. I'll go from there. The kingdom of Euralia is gone, annihilated by a dark deity. In this action murder mystery game, you are the Harbinger, a mythical warrior who must relive and repeat Euralia's final day to solve the mysterious murder and save the world. Talk with the inhabitants of water and Euralia, separate truth from lies, and use the power of the Omen Sight to alter their fates. So basically, your character shows up when Armageddon is about to happen, and the legend goes, you are there to stop it. Right? It's a bit like a Norse legend where there's this big snake called Radon that appears and it's going to devour the world.
Right.
So it basically kills everything, then it goes for the tree of life, and everything's extinguished.
Yeah.
And before this, there's this one guardian of light, the one that stands in the way of everything, gets murdered. And what you have to do is, to save the planet, you have to go back in time to find out who killed the actual priest. Was it the godless priestess, they call her? And what you do is you link to various spirits of these people you find either dead or dying around the place, and you travel back to their timeline. And you see the same story from different points of view, from different characters, and really gorgeous game. It's sort of cel-shaded, but not. But yeah, it's really cheap on Xbox Live at the moment. Probably find it on the PlayStation as well. I got it for about £7. But yeah, nice little combat in it. It's a bit Diablo-esque in that respect. But yeah, it's a bit of an interesting game. And the day you see the day sort of like, it does progress until you get to the end of it, and you go back to the bit where you started at the beginning, and then you choose another spirit to go and see that timeline. It's different spirits from different sides of the war that's going on at that time.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah, there you go.
That's it.
So that's Omen Sight, it's called.
Cool.
And there you go.
Cool. Anything else?
No.
No, cool.
That's it.
Cool. That's it. Well, for my week, it's been a pretty quiet week for me. I've been doing lots of drawing. I seem to be getting this weird thing where I'm just about to go to bed at about 11:30, 11:45, and then I'm sort of like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do a bit of doodling before bed. And then I sort of think, that's quite.
Before bed.
Yeah.
Never doodle before bed.
Euphemism, Jim. Where are you? You're slacking, man. And then all of a sudden I sort of think, well, I'll tell you what, I'll scan that in and I'll paint it up. And then like at 3:00 in the morning, I'm like, I've got to go to bed. Furlough is really not good for me, knowing that I don't have to get up in the morning. It seriously isn't. My time is slowly shifting to the point where now I think I'm almost completely nocturnal. So I've been doing a lot of that. I'm teaching myself Unreal. I'm actually making a Pac-Man game in Unreal.
Ooh.
Yeah, just this sort of, which is fine, except for the fact that the tutorials that I'm using to do it I got this guy, and I've paid for these tutorials just to point this out on Udemy. And this guy will go like half an hour talking about like how you got to do things in a certain way and do things in this way and that way. Then he'll completely ignore his own advice, and then on top of that, he'll get to another chapter and he'll go, oh yeah, the chapter before, well, I kind of fucked up here, and this bit and this bit need to be changed, so we need to go back and do these bits again. That's part of the making of games. You have to fuck up and start again sometimes and realise you've done things wrong. It's like, yeah, maybe, but not while I'm paying you to tell me what to fucking do.
Yeah,
is that the same
first time then?
Man,
yeah,
exactly. Sounds like the same advice you give someone when they tread in sort of like dog shit, and you say that it's lucky. It's like, well, who fucking all thought that? It's like the bloke did it originally,
exactly.
Just to make it look like it hadn't been like,
yeah,
unlucky.
Yeah,
no, it's lucky, honest.
Yeah, honestly, it's lucky. Other than that, I watched with the family. I watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. again.
Excellent.
Have you seen that? Have you guys
seen
that?
Is it the modern one, yeah?
Yeah.
The new one.
The one with
I've not seen the new one.
You've not seen the Henry Cavill?
No.
I love it. I think it's a great film.
Yeah.
I just love those two together, innit?
Yeah, Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. I'll be honest with you, I think the first time I watched it, I don't know what I was expecting, so I was a little bit put off by some of the style of it.
Yeah.
But actually, this time round, I watched it, and it's clearly a comedy. And,
oh, God, yeah.
And some of the scenes in it are actually really funny. There's
the background stuff.
Yeah, the stuff going on in the background.
What's going on in the background?
Yeah, there's a scene with
Henry Cavill on the phone.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Henry Cavill making himself a sandwich while sitting in the car. Yes. But anyway, yeah, so I quite enjoyed that. PlayStation stores had a bit of a sale on, so I got Alien Isolation and all the DLC in preparation for attending the Great Derelict, the remnants of Space Dock Jury, in a few weeks. So I've been playing that and only playing it in a day. And obviously screaming enough that a certain friend of our acquaintance, Darren, wants to keep logging into my PlayStation and watching me play, because there's an option on PlayStation Pro where you can actually watch someone's session of what they're playing.
Right.
And
who would be this person?
That would be Mr. Taylor.
Right.
Wants to sit there going, ha ha ha, look at him. He is was running around screaming because he's being chased down a corridor by a working Joe.
Well, hold on a minute. So you've bought this for the PlayStation.
Yes.
So in essence, this is the video game version of Pink Floyd's Division Bell for you.
Why is
isn't
that?
it?
Why is that?
Well, how many copies of Division Bell did you buy on CD, Lee?
Well, I had it on CD. Then I had the 2-disc edition. Then I had the edition with Pulse, and then.
But then you broke. Did you break a couple of them or something? Like, I'll just go buy another copy.
Yeah, well, I did break one inside my CD player. That was because I dropped the CD player, and then there was the one. Yeah, I think I've had about 5 copies of it, to be honest.
But then it's always nice and reaffirming to go out and buy a CD that you're actually going to enjoy.
Yeah. That you know you're going to listen to.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive one he's ever bought as well, because it's cost him about 60 quid so far.
That Pulse one was a bit expensive. Is that the one with the little LED that flashes on it?
That's right, on the cardboard box.
Oh,
with the old. Yeah, that's lovely. That is.
What did we get up early to go and get that?
Yes, we did. We were.
Yes, we did.
In
Yes.
Chelmsford, we went to the HMV, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I do like that. That was very good because we went to the actual World's Court to see that performance, didn't we?
Indeed, and I think our eyebrows have only just grown back.
That's right.
From that.
Yeah, because we were literally 2 rows from the front, and then when the fireworks went off on the front stage, they literally blasted over our heads.
It was columns of flame.
It was columns
It was
of flame.
like these fucking fire cannons, and it was just like, for like 2 seconds, there's like columns of flame shooting out the
And the
stage.
smell of burning hair as one of these days started playing.
Man, we looked like pandas when we came out of there. It was just,
and we were slightly stoned because of the 2 guys in front of us. I always remember.
Oh God,
that.
yes.
There was a cloud.
Yes.
There was a cloud of, shall we say, indulgent tobacco that
Before
Jamaican
vaping
El
was
Holborn.
Yeah, I was going to say herbal Holborn, and that went on throughout the whole first half, and they basically just sank into their chairs and disappeared. I can't believe we weren't stoned by that point.
We probably were, but just didn't realise it.
Yeah, secondary smoke, ladies and gentlemen. But back to my week. I mean, other than that, what else have I done? So I did Alien. Yeah, I've done Man from Uncle. Oh, Katie and I started watching The Witcher again. The TV show, because I didn't make it all the way through to the end of the series, but I'm watching it again, knowing what I'm getting myself into. Quite enjoying that. So I'm having a bit of a Henry Cavill-a-thon. A cavalcade, if you will.
Cavalcade.
So, yeah, that was quite good. Other than that, I don't know, not a lot really. I've just kicking about, trying not to go out of my mind really. Oh, I'm playing. I watched the PlayStation 5 reveal as well live. That's kind of how my life's going. That I can actually sit up at silly o'clock and start watching video trailers for a console I cannot afford and will not have for at least a decade.
Yep.
So that
Don't be the first adopter. Never be the first adopter.
No. Though I'm kind of interested, but nothing amazing leaping out to me right now. But we'll see. And even the Spider-Man one, which did seem interesting, the Miles Morales, and it turns out that that's just an add-on. That's not even like an actual full-blown game.
Really?
Yeah, it's been released. It can be released as a standalone or as a DLC for the existing game, which means that it's going to be out on PlayStation 4 anyway. So why bother buying a £500 console to play a DLC of a game that I've already got on a console that already works?
They didn't hand out the price yet, have they?
No, I would imagine it's about 500 quid because it looks like a 4K Blu-ray player, Ultra HD Blu-ray player, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's kind of the going rate for those things as well, isn't it?
that'd be cool.
So, but I'm a little disturbed by the discless version, which says that you can only have the games as long as you can download them and hold them on your hard drive.
Nope. Physical media, thank you very much.
Yeah, I was going to say the phrase "fuck that" comes straight to mind, but I guess it's the way it's going anyway. But yeah, that's about it for my week. I'm afraid nothing serious. I was nearly accosted by a slug in my kitchen yesterday as well. That was another thing, but that was just a case of just walking out, turning on the light, and then there was a moment of pause between me and a slug that was lying across the kitchen floor. I looked at the slug looked at me, I got a shovel, I flicked the slug into the garden.
And that was when the salt shaker appeared.
Yeah, exactly. In 6 months' time, he's going to come back, knock on my door and go, "Why did you do that?" But anyway, haha, old dad joke for you there. Right, so we're going to leave it there because it's obviously, I'm running out of things to say. So we're going to move on to this week's film. This week's film, well, it's more of a documentary, more of a disaster. And like I say, for people of a certain disposition, just know that the following review will contain swearing. Roll the jingle.
I see it's nearly 5 o'clock. I'm here at home, my work's all done. No question where I'll be tonight, a place of cinematic fun. It's the lockdown, but I will not pout. Oh, my friends, I won't be seeing this out alone. There's Lee and Elton and Jim and Darren, all sitting far apart for social distance. We're at the shut-in cinema, down in the bunker of shun. Down in the bunker of shun.
Hey fellas, it's been nearly 5 years. You gonna let me out now or what?
No. Right, okay, so Fyre, the greatest party that never happened, available on Netflix. Yes, this was Darren's choice. Fyre, the greatest party that never happened. Let's just call it Fyre. Like,
Yep.
Fyre,
Ready to burn.
is a 2019 American documentary about Billy McFarland and the failed Fyre Festival. Try saying that with your false teeth in. Of 2017. It was directed by Chris Smith and released on Netflix in 2019. The film was co-produced by Jerry Media, the social media agency actually responsible for promoting the Fyre Festival in the first place and covering up the fraud, and Matt Projects, the production company that directed the Fyre Festival promotional shoot. Jerry Media approached Vice for the idea of the documentary 3 months after the events, according to Netflix, and the documentary was Jerry Smith's idea. The reception. We'll just talk about the reception because there's nothing else otherwise. The rest is all on the film. On the review aggregate website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 90% approval rating, which is saying that the film smoulders with agonizing tension when the party in paradise goes awry. But its slickly assembled documentary reserves its greatest horrors for its damning observations about the dangers of wealth. And that's about it, really. It's been seen by over 20 million households since April 2019, when Netflix released it. So there you go. There's no budget, no nothing, so we don't know. So that's about as far as it goes, really. So, before we get into talking about it, let's just do the usual. Let's just go around the table and just get a quick headliner of what people thought of it, and then we'll get into the discussion. So, we'll start with you, Jim. What did you think?
Well, I laughed, I cried, I shouted cunt at the TV.
We've hit maximum C already. Yeah.
And I mean, I did. I'd heard about the Fyre Festival before it actually happened, and then I heard about the huge debacle, and so the hilarious weekend when it all came out, and that was fucking funny.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Nice.
But seeing this, finding out the full story, I got a bad back from picking up my jaw off the floor because it was just dropped so many times. Just kind of, you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Nice. I knew it was a shit show. I knew it was mental. I had an idea what I was in for, but I didn't know how utterly insane the whole thing was from start to finish.
Cool. Okay, what about you, Elton?
This is the second time I've seen this now. I think I saw it midway through last year. And I enjoyed it. Well, I had a better reaction to it, shall we say, instead of enjoyed it. I watched it in several large bites last time, but this time all the way through in one go. And that makes a lot of a difference because then you had that ebb and flow of people's characters that I sympathise with you. I don't like you. I want you to burn in a fire. That kind of ebb and flow.
Is that with a Y?
with a Y. Yes.
Right.
Nice one. I think the whole documentary as one is very good. I think it's put together very well. You do get a great shot as to what was going on there. But the characters involved, we will dive into them because, man, there's a lot to be said. This time round, though, just briefly, I did come away feeling a lot more for the actual workers that were there because the whole first time I watched it, it was all highlighted on the people doing all the corruption, fucking everyone over, and it was nothing on the people that lost out. And you do get glimpses of it, but this time round, I was going, but what about the people that worked there? But what about the people that did the stuff?
Yeah.
Oh no, you fucked them over, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. So, and what about you, Dale? You picked this. You hadn't actually seen it before.
No. I heard it was an interesting piece of work. Very much so. I don't know if I would call it. It's a good documentary, right? And I say that because it made me feel something, right? Okay. I think I had anxiety about 90% of the way through this. That's the reaction it caused in me. I think it was a mixture of anger and despair watching this thing.
Yeah.
It's a good documentary, but it's not very enjoyable, if you know what I mean. It's there is sort of like, there are odd, strange bits in it that you do kind of giggle at, but wow. Just wow.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I have to say, I thought this was. There aren't many documentaries that I really dig. I mean, if you get a good one and it's well made and it's well researched, then you get a fantastic product and you get an entertaining story well told. And this was that. I thought this was a fantastic bit of filmmaking. And even though the story itself is ultimately quite horrific, the fact that it's fairly non-judgmental in what it and how it puts itself forward just lets people tell the story from their various perspectives and lets it all play out, and then lets the footage speak for itself. I just thought that was, like, by comparison to something else which turned me off almost instantly, which was Tiger King. Where you kind of immediately, within 5 minutes, the person behind the camera is standing in front of the camera talking to the person they're interviewing and all this kind of thing, and the person you're interviewing is trying to be a celebrity. It's just like, that's not a fucking documentary. That's just a wank fest with some crazy characters in it. Fuck off. Couldn't be bothered. But this I just thought, I mean, I nearly got up and clapped. I thought it was fucking great. I thought it was really well done documentary, well told. And like I say, even if it's not necessarily the most sympathetic of characters or, you know, events, you know, some terrible things, but also there's a lot to be said about the people throwing money at this thing without knowing what they're getting themselves into. I just thought, I came away from it thinking that was superb. That was, now that I know it was the documentary makers were the people who made the video at the beginning, you can almost see, you know,
Yeah.
that's a redemption arc for them as well. So I mean, I thought it was great. I thought that was really, really well done documentary. So that's my feeling. And I also think anyone who hasn't seen it, who wants to, I think they should. I think they should, even if you know how it plays out. I think you should really watch this because it draws you in, and that's the best documentaries do that because they tell the story so well.
You're right, though. It did feel. I had a feeling of balance as well. There wasn't an objective to it. Everything that has been dealt with this festival has already been done. It's kind of brushed under the carpet now, isn't it?
Yeah.
People have gone to jail. People have been either paid out their money or not received their money, and it's kind of okay. That's the end of the story. So that's the best time to do a documentary when everyone has the full facts and they can put them all together in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Because I mean, that's my first question. I guess is it right at the heart of this for people who haven't watched this? Obviously, at the heart of this is a character, a guy called Billy McFarlane. I mean, he's never really represented as a villain, so to speak. He's just you're there to make up your mind about how you feel about him. So when it's, so it starts off as like, he's just a wheeler dealer, and then, by the end you have certain thoughts about him. How did you guys feel about him? I mean, was he always innocent, or was he a guy who just fell in out of control, or did he know what he was doing from the start?
Do you know what he reminded me of? Do you know who No Face is? The character No Face. It's this like, it's basically a spirit that looks like a black sheep with a white mask on its face.
From
Spirited Away.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like he was. I felt that face, you could have looked behind his ears and found the clips and just taken it off to see what was actually underneath it, because it was just, I don't know. It was as if. It was like a recorded message on the telephone. It was there as a placeholder. It just didn't seem like anything else was going on there. You couldn't really see his eyes. I mean, never trust anybody who's like, squints that much. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And Renee Zellweger.
Stevie Wonder.
Squinting season.
Yeah, he just seemed like somebody who's probably been at school and wasn't really liked that much, probably bullied a bit, got older, filled out a bit, got some money, and then tried to reinvent himself as being a bit cool. And it fails, as far as I'm concerned. Watching that, just looking at him on film, how false he just seemed. There was nothing there. He was just like air behind the face. That's it.
I had him pegged pretty much from the first few minutes as this is a textbook sociopath.
God, yeah.
I think the analogy, if you looked at his childhood, he's that kid who says, hey, I bet you to do this, and suggests something that gets you into trouble, and then is nowhere to be seen when the shit comes down.
Yes.
He's the one who kind of got loads of friends, but he's not actually in any circle of friends at all. He just sort of joins an orbit of one, then another, as it suits him. until people get wise to him. And I mean, I think kind of, you know, the alarm bells for me started ringing when they talked about his previous business.
Oh, the credit card.
Kind of, I thought, I bet that was an absolute con. And later on, you find out actually it didn't make much money. It was a massive.
Yeah,
it was just a massive front. I mean, I say textbook sociopath who kind of literally, you know, I think you go right back to his childhood and you'll find, you know, everything he's got in life has come on the backs of people whose lives he's broken.
Yes.
And I pegged him straight away. I'm proud to say. You're kind of like, yeah.
Nice.
But it's how so many people in business couldn't spot him. I mean, he did this talk about this. I mean, for a start, can we talk about the app where it begins, the Fyre app?
Yeah.
You think this is going to be a multi-million-dollar app, an app that lets you book top-playing artists? Maybe someone needs to tell him most people can't afford to hire the Rolling Stones or Taylor Swift to play their birthday parties.
Yeah.
The logistics of artists and their tours, you can just like call them up like a fucking plumber on your mobile phone. Who thought this was a good idea? It was absolutely moronic. And then at the launch thing, he tells how he got Ja Rule on board. He asked some bloke on Instagram. You didn't go to his agent, so you know nothing, nothing about booking anything.
Yeah.
And people go, "Oh, he's such a wonderkind. He's such an entrepreneur," and I was like, "You people are too stupid to live."
Yeah.
Frankly, how have you got in the positions you are, and not be able to understand how basic business works? You know what I mean? I think, he's incredible. And, like, you know, that Andy guy, who I have much to say to about, he was going, you know, the Magnesis, you know, he curated community, he got these kids together, and they had drinks and music and parties and fun. And I thought, all right, I'll give Billy his credit. He's found a market of people with money who are cunts. Because in the real world, I don't need to have a metal credit card exclusive club bullshit. I have friends who give me drink, drugs, parties, music, and fun.
Well, that's it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What were you going to say there, Elton? I heard you pop in there just for a second.
I was going to say, if you can afford to have Taylor Swift play at your party, then you don't need an app to book that. You already know the connections that go along there, or you know someone that knows someone that knows someone.
Well, I mean, I think that's an additional little subtext that runs throughout the whole thing, is that it's not just that. I mean, it cuts bare like business in general, because businesses are. If they were a human being, I've seen this written before somewhere, that if a business was a human being, it would be a psychopath. It would be a sociopath. Yeah. And the thing is, the one thing that stops it from being a sociopath is the support crew around it. And so what happens is it's a voracious thing that's going to consume everything that goes anywhere near it. But it's feeding off of people's ability to feed it. And this is a perfect example of that, because what you've got is this Billy McFarlane guy who clearly is, I mean, for my money, he hit a psychological profile which set off alarm bells with me almost instantly, and I'll get round to my previous encounter with someone very similar to him in a bit. But the thing was, it was like you see these people succeed or do well because what they do is they get people around them who save them from themselves. It's almost, and sort of like who will, like that Andy guy, Andy King, who is the event producer. He's the guy who is actually doing all the work and getting all the grey hair, and in one case, almost sucking dick for Evian, and. Billy hasn't got a fucking clue. He's just going, yeah. Sorry, Dal. what
That
were you
bit
gonna say?
with the Evian.
Yeah.
Was anybody else like me? It suddenly came crashing back to me that I'd seen that clip before, where
No.
he talks about, and I actually went home and I got a shower and I took some gargle and I went to see the man and I was actually going to suck his cock, and the bloke just said to him, "Look, just for God's sake, pay me $150,000 at the end of all this, and you can have the Evian, not a problem." And
Yeah.
I just sat there. I couldn't say anything. I was flabbergasted. Fucking listening to it.
Is that on your previous search history then, Dal?
What is that? What?
Ben sucks cock for everything. Because I don't
the thing
recall
is-
ever seeing anything like that.
Well, the thing is, for me, right now, in the 90s, I worked in the nightclub scene as an event promoter on a very small, shitty scale. But I'll tell you this, and you can bank this, and it's absolutely true. If you work in nightclubs and putting on events of any kind, and it involves security, even if it's just putting on little DJ nights in a room above a pub, if you know security men, you know somebody who will take some money and hurt people for you. If you're Andy King, who's been in the business for 40 years, you've got a phone number in your little black book of a very discreet agency who will go and fuck somebody up, and they'll find their head in a laundromat. You know what I mean? And it's kind of, I looked at him and I was quite sympathetic, because he's doing all the work. He sort of, he was kind of doesn't understand the festival scene, doesn't understand the young scene.
No.
And he's like getting a new lease of life, probably because he's, frankly, a bit past it and doesn't know what millennials want for an event. But, you know, he's working hard, he's doing all that, a lot of sympathy. But when he actually was going to go along with that, I thought, if someone said that to me and I was him, this film would have ended sudden, you know, because someone had found Billy McFarlane's head fucking on the spikes at Central Park and found his fucking ass in Brazil being eaten by jaguars. You know what I mean? I would not fucking tolerate that bullshit. How fucking dare you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Frankly, if it was actually me in the room and there'd been a glass ashtray, Billy would have found out if he could chew glass. You know, I mean, fucking unbelievable. All I can assume... I mean, and actually, an IMDb reviewer pointed this out. He says, you really have to wonder why he agreed to do that. What has Billy got on him? And why is he hanging around these children anyway?
Yeah.
It's the fact that he made him feel guilty enough to do it. He suddenly, you know, he worded it like, "Oh yeah, it's all edging on you, and if you don't do it, then you know you're literally a bad person."
Well,
It's
remember
just-
they were dangling their
Bits.
payments in front of them as well, weren't they?
Yes, they
Well,
were.
I think they had got to a point where I know kind of a lot of people had the choice of, we've just got to try and make this work, otherwise we ain't going to get paid, and we've not been paid for months anyway.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. But to be honest, I have limited sympathy with these twats because we're the best of the best. Really, are you? You
But
didn't
that's-
just do a 2-year unpaid internship and worked hard for it, because obviously we can only live in a major metropolitan city and, you know, not actually be paid. Fuck you. Secondly, if you knew anything about the festival scene and you saw that island, you'd realise you couldn't stand 300 fucking people on that island. The first one, never mind 60,000. And where were the villas we were going to stay? Where was the plumbing? There wasn't any goddamn electrics. Why did none of you fucking go, hang on, this guy's a shyster?
You know what?
Morons.
It was that, to do with that, I don't know if it's anybody else, you know, if you want to tell us at what point in that documentary you knew the wheels, you actually could see the wheels coming off. It was around about the 15-minute mark for me, right? When you've got the German bloke who learned to fly his plane free a fucking Microsoft Flight Simulator, right? Okay. So, and he tells him that as he's taking off, you know, he's got all the passengers in the back there. But it's the bit where they send him out to survey the island. And he's like, we're never going to fit 1,000 people on here. He goes, I looked at the island, I thought, we're never going to fit 1,000 people on here. And then it cuts to him and the meeting with the guy's mate who's running the event, right? The organizer there, this guy he's got in to do it all, right? And he says to him, well, yeah, I suggested to this guy that we get in cruise liners. And it cuts to that bit and he goes, oh, we're not doing cruise ships anymore. And it's just silent as they sit there looking at one another. And that was it. That was, I could see the axle, the tyres. It was just like, one of them cartoons where bits fall off the car and by the end of it, he's just sat there with like the seat and the steering wheel. Yeah. And that's it. And that's all I could see.
Well, before we get on too far, I will say that guy, the one who says we haven't got cruise liners, Grant, he was the one. The instant I saw him, that's when I knew the wheels were coming off. The instant I saw him, because I'm not wishing to do in my career, but in my career, I have seen with film production that kind of person who seems to think that through sheer force of will and being a complete dick and not listening to a single word that is being said to them, by just repeating the words that they asked over and over again, it will happen. And they have this look in their eyes, and you see it in that guy's face literally the second he appears. He appears and he does this thing where he wipes his eyes, and you see this kind of wild kind of look in his eyes. And it's the look of a guy who's winging it and has read in a management manual somewhere that you have to know what you're doing, and you have to, even if you don't, you have to project it to other people.
Didn't he say that as well? The guy's never handled a festival before.
But what I'm trying to say is he has never handled anything before. Is what I'm saying, because when you see the videos of or footage of him, you see him in the background of all the stuff with the credit card, and you see him in the background of all the stuff with the app setup. So he's been the floater on, and he's been one of these guys. And I can tell you, I've seen them hundreds of times. These guys who they call themselves marketing directors or the head of vision or some bollocks like that, and all they think is that by saying, "No, I have told you I want 17 llamas filled with bottled Tizer," and it's and you say it over and over again, you think that that's the thing. And then when it all goes wrong, you go, well, I'm sorry, but, I made myself clear. I know what I was doing. I know what I was asking for. These people didn't deliver. Not that you were asking for the impossible. It's just that you have no grip on reality whatsoever. It's the fact that you've said it forcefully and you've not listened to a fucking thing coming back because you think you're the biggest cock in the room. And it's just, I've seen that so many times. And as soon as I saw that guy, I was like, right, and there we are. We are now back. I am now back in Elstree Film Studios, Legionnaires. Thank you very much, and good night. And I knew exactly where this was going the instant I saw that guy, and then I saw Billy. Because before we get into any further into that film, into that thing, when I was at, well, you know this, Dal, but I mean, I was working on a film called Legionnaires, which was a publicly floated share released film where people would.
What's the official terminology for it?
I don't know. Bullshit is what it was. And basically, what happened was, and it's exactly the same as what happened with Fyre. And that's why I was saying on Facebook I was getting PTSD flashbacks, because what happens in the case of Legionnaires, and see if this sounds familiar. There is a front man, and he's backed up by this kind of wild-eyed producer. And that person, the front man, can sell snow to the Eskimos. And he goes around and he goes, there is a science fiction film. If you pay 333 quid for a share of this amazing film, then you can be in the film and it'll be amazing. You'll be a film star. You'll get an IMDb credit. You'll see your name in lights. You'll go to the premiere. It'll be a fantastic film. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then, behind the scenes, the whole production of an entire film turns out to be one editor, one concept artist, 2 visual effects people, one of which is me, and a bunch of security people who are actually really fanboys culled from a convention.
Yeah.
And, and unsurprisingly, they're taking money off of the public. And then some, people who shall remain nameless and myself were saying, this isn't done. This is not a film. And then the guy is saying, we haven't got a script, but I'm writing one. You're like, you haven't got a script. You haven't got a film star. You haven't got anything. We are making a film. When's it going to happen? And then, unsurprisingly, there comes a day when the public finally have to have something turn up. And it's not what they were expecting. It wasn't very good. And then, next thing you know, the police are kicking the door in.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Just
Hey,
slightly.
I was there for that extras day, remember?
Yeah, the extras day when we had to wing a film shoot. And we did a film shoot in an inflatable tennis court just outside of Wimbledon. No, was it Wimbledon? No, it wasn't Wimbledon. It was something like Hackney or somewhere like that.
Something like that.
And basically, we spent the night before painting a load of blue screens and putting up scaffolding to make it look like a film set. And then 8,000 people turned up and they all stood in front of this blue screen and we just filmed them and then sent them off. And we had no money, no film, no catering, nothing. I think we had about 10 family bags of crisps to give everyone, didn't we?
Something like that, yeah.
Like that. So yeah, and then unsurprisingly, when everyone's freaking out and going mental and the public's not very happy about this, the director suddenly is nowhere to be seen. Now that does sound familiar.
I think on the day the craft services were actually Dairy Slices by Craft.
They were, weren't they? Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
So anyway, all I'm saying is that this thing, I know we're all saying that whoever got involved with it, what a bunch of cunts and all this kind of thing, but I've seen this before, and I've seen that whole power of personality and belief that if you can just make a certain milestone, if you can just make something happen, then you're on your way, so to speak. And and I got swept up in it. I got swept up in that sort of thing. So I had a lot of sympathy for a lot of the people in this, like that Samuel guy booking the acts. And who was the other one? There was the guy who was the one who was going to be the yoga instructor.
Oh, him, yeah.
Yeah.
That interaction he had with him about, this is all going to hell. There's, you're going to have this extra 300 people turning up on the island. There's nowhere for them to sleep. And what was the response? Oh, at least they'll get to see your smiling face when you're showing them your yoga moves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what?
So so anyway, I was just like, wow, I actually had a lot of sympathy for some of the people, whereas people were going, oh, this is, how can people be taken in? But stuff like that, when you've invested so much time in a thing already, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I've invested so much time in this, and now the person who's got me to do that is now telling me that the best way around this is actually to do a bit more. And you're like, well, okay, fine, just a bit more.
Yeah, everyone got a bit too deep before they actually turned around and said, do you know what? No, can't do it.
Yeah.
And by that time, it's easier just to push on, and you never know, we might pull it off. And then they started talking about Woodstock. For fuck's sake, honestly. So,
So apples, not just apples and oranges, but you're comparing an apple to the Empire State Building. Woodstock didn't sell tickets for thousands of dollars just as a basic. Woodstock wasn't offering people catamaran rides.
yeah, there was no such thing as bottled water either.
No.
Bottled piss, maybe, but not bottled.
Well, for me, with Billy, that Billy chap, he comes across as a guy who's always blagged his way through stuff. And he's blagged and blagged and blagged. And he's got into a desperate situation and always dug his way out, like that Simpsons episode. Well, we were in this hole now. How do we get out? We'll dig our way out. He's always done that. And I think he got into a situation, he wanted to get into a situation where he was surrounded by models, surrounded by famous people and yachts and cars and executive stuff, living the high life, getting people to kind of creating the myth of Billy himself. And he got that. He got into that situation. And then someone came up with the idea of a festival, and he was like, well, I got here, why the fuck not? Now, the thing I took away from it this time is, if they'd stopped, instead of trying to put a festival on in 6 months' time, how about do it in 18 months' time? You might have got somewhere.
To be honest, sorry to interrupt, Banglin, you could have given them 1,000 fucking years and it would still have been a shit show. Because none of them had been to a festival or had any idea what it entailed. And that was so clear to me. I think, done events organising. They hadn't the first clue. And that's actually in the marketing of the Fyre Festival, is the fact that it's going to be this game-changing festival. How is it game-changing? You don't have a lineup.
Yeah.
It's on an island. It's expensive. I'm not seeing the magic here, guys. What was this vision? It was kind of completely all done by people who hadn't a fucking clue what anything was involved in this. No one had an idea. I mean, when I saw that first island, the flyover of the original one, it's kind of, where's the villas? Where's the marina for the yachts? There's no power lines. There's no storage plant. There's no room to put up a small stage.
Well,
how are people going to get there? It was just absolutely mental. And people who actually saw that island from the setup and went, this is a brilliant vision. I'm sorry, come talk to me. I've got some magic beans I'm sure you'll be very, very fucking impressed with.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It was a case of that was Emperor's New Clothes at that point, wasn't it? That was it.
I'm thinking, it was just so starkly obvious. It was just kind of, what? This is the island I'm going to have. We've got 60,000 people on it. How? In rubber rings floating around in the sea. I mean, what the fuck?
Do you remember the when it all fell apart? Okay, and they're in that business meeting, right? And then somebody says to Ja Rule that, this is fraud, don't you? And he goes, no, this isn't fraud. We just didn't. He said something like, we just didn't tell them the truth about the product they were receiving.
He called it false advertising.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose there, boys. You just turn around and say to him, well, that is fucking fraud, you've been fucking... Oh, man.
I noticed Ja Rule sort of seemed to drop out the story.
Oh, he did.
Possibly from legal reasons. And I noticed he's not done a lot.
Yeah.
I did
but,
look him up
you should go to
afterwards.
fucking jail. Your conviction is there in that documentary.
Right.
But he didn't. You know what? Do you know what happened? When they
Go on.
questioned him, he said that he'd been ripped off by Billy just as much as everyone else. And I'm thinking, well, you didn't sort of like mind that when you were stuck on the island being quite forceful with one of the models when you were telling her to jump in the fucking pool, and she went, we're not going to jump in the pool. And he goes, if I tell you you're going to jump in the pool, you're going to jump in the fucking pool. And it's like, ooh, hello. Does your wife know about this? Because he's married, right? And it's like, so you're being quite forceful. That kind of, it's one of those moments, where you give it the side eye. Like, what?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a hidden thing there. Seems to come out. I really didn't like that at all.
No, he's a prat.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on, Elton. Sorry, we jumped in there.
Yeah, that's right. I always thought that they could possibly have pulled it off. Now, I'm not coming from like a promoter or anything like event organizer standpoint, but you always thought if they'd given it a little bit more time, a little bit more thought, but the problem is, and I think the whole documentary revolves around, it is the influencers' lifestyle that they want.
Yeah.
It's all about influencers. Influencers. What is that word? I
Influencers.
Can't. Thank you.
Yeah.
Influencers. and them going to an island with nothing there. That's not what influencers want. They want Wi-Fi. They would rather have no water than no Wi-Fi. That is what
that phrase. Influencers.
Well, that's the thing. It's something that really gets my hackles up. But they thought, okay, we can tap in to what they want. They want an exclusive, way over the top price. If it's way over the top, then they want to pay that because it makes it exclusive to them. And so they were trying to tap into that. And they almost had it because they had the people turn up. So if you gave them enough time to actually build this thing, I think it might have worked. Because they had the people there. They turned up. They were there. The problem is, they're all a bunch of bastards. They really are utter fuckwits. And it was personified by one of the guys when they were going around the tents. And that bus ride to the tents. And everyone's going, oh my days. Oh no. They're like, literally, tents over there, and we don't want to go in the tents. Oh my days. No. Instagram it straight away. And they're jumping off the plane and Instagram absolutely everything. They got the right people there to do it. They just fucked it up. And one of the guys there going around the tents, it all became self. And influencers are about self. We all know that because they do selfies. Now, they were going around the tents, popping holes in other tents.
No, one guy. It was one guy that did it.
Yeah,
because he didn't want neighbours.
He was fucking everyone else up. It was all self. If
he deserved fucking dysentery, that bloke. I tell you.
They all got what they deserved in that respect. Yeah, I mean, that was what I was going to come round to. I mean, there was two subtexts underneath all of this. I mean, obviously there was the Fyre Festival itself and the shit show that was. But there was also a subtle commentary of the power of the internet to sell something that ostensibly did not exist, and the willingness of people to believe it. And then also this whole thing of the overprivileged entitlement sort of generation that has more money than sense and willing to part with like thousands of dollars just to go for a party. What does that say about those people as well? So there was two extra like threads going throughout the whole thing. I was just thinking, this is like a fascinating sort of study of the falseness of the internet and how people can be so easily manipulated by it that, you know, that just all you got to do is get the right people saying the right thing, and then all of a sudden it doesn't matter if this thing doesn't exist. 10,000 people will tell you that it does. And I mean, to use a more modern version, the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Everyone's going, oh, the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, oh, the Snyder Cut, and all this sort of thing. It's now coming about. It's now happening. But now it's been revealed that the fucking thing never existed, and they're actually going off to film it.
Yep.
And it's that sort of thing about the internet that was all the way through this documentary, that the internet itself is just, it's selling people on an but it's selling people on an idea that doesn't exist, and people's willingness to believe any old shit as long as it conforms to what they want. You know, and they can just will it into being. And it just... So that was really fascinating. But like I say, when you started seeing people going to this thing, at first I was like, you know, I was feeling quite sorry for them. I was thinking, oh, God, you know, this is going to be a fucking car crash. Oh, my Christ. And then you see them going, sort of showing their hand bracelets, their RFD bracelets, go $9,000, baby, sort of thing. You're thinking, right, who do you know any one of us around this table who has $9,000 to basically drop on a party?
More to the point, who pays through the nose thousands of dollars for a festival where you don't even know the lineup?
Yeah. I mean, I think
music fans do not do that.
No.
Twats do that who don't know anything about music.
Yeah. But then that's what I was going to say. The line for me was, if you're willing to drop $1,000 to go and see Blink 182, you kind of get what's coming to you.
Well, it's one of those things. That lineup was awful. I know I'm a bit old and out of touch, but I can tell you kind of like that wasn't nearly big league stuff for the ticket prices. They were fucking unbelievably poor. Of kind of.
Well, okay.
The biggest band, Blink 182, pulled out. They clearly got wind of what was going on, and from their statement, I think that was very subtly quite clear of saying, we've pulled out because this isn't going to give our fans the experience we think they deserve. And it's kind of, you saw some of those photos that were leaked of what's actually on that island, i.e. a refugee camp on a concrete car park.
I mean, okay, let's just go through this. I mean, do you guys honestly believe, if you saw something, I mean, I know it's easy to sort of say, oh, no, but if you saw something that conformed to your, for want of a better word, prejudices or thoughts on a subject, if you saw someone big and famous sort of essentially endorsing the same thing that you believed in, would you believe it existed, even if it necessarily didn't? Do you think, being honest for a second?
Being honest, I personally would do more. I'm all about getting value for money, right? I think if I won £1 million tomorrow, I'd still be, well, what'd you get for your money? What'd you get for that? You know, am I getting a good bang for my buck out of this? So I think I'd probably have to look at it and see what they were shilling my way, you know. And then decide from there. I mean, if you've got money to burn, then I suppose, you know, what the hell? I mean, you'd have to be fucking rich to just, you know, fucking take that one and walk around and go, yeah, I'm just writing that off.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I'm like, you know, me now, fuck it, I wouldn't be paying that money for that. I wouldn't, I mean, that sort of price, Jesus.
But a lot of the people that went to this island are half our age. That's the
and they've
thing.
all...
And got half our IQs.
But apparently 10 times our money.
Yeah, how does that work?
I'm not saying they're all stupid or anything like that, but they are more willing to give it a go and find out, fuck it, it's only money, and we might have a blast while we're there. And look, we were all sold on the idea of Prometheus a couple of years ago when Ridley Scott said, yeah, well, I'm doing a new Alien film. And we all went, oh, okay, yeah, we'll go to see that. And we were all shafted. So we've been bitten far too many times.
Well, I mean, take that line. I mean, let's be honest. How many of us went to see Last Jedi? Or went to see... and then how many
I mean, in those cases, though, we're judging on a decades-long investment in a brand. Fyre Festival came out of nowhere, said, there's going to be this amazing festival, it'll be like the next level, whatever that meant. Didn't even have a roster of bands announced, and people said, here, take 10 grand.
Well, people go to Glastonbury without knowing the lineup. They already buy their tickets before they go there. But then,
but Glastonbury's been going 40 years.
Yeah,
it's an established brand. I mean,
you know what you get with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I've seen. I mean, all right, old granddad time. I remember when there was 3 festivals. You know, there's the Reading Festival, there was the Glastonbury Festival, and there was the Monsters of Rock at Castle Donington, and that was it.
Oh my god!
And you know what I mean? That was in the mid '80s. In the '90s, festivals came fashionable, And then tons of them sprang up, and a lot of them were shite and badly organised because they were just done by people cashing in. But normally they had actually booked some bands and the event happened, and you weren't in a refugee camp with fuck all for your money. And tickets for about 50 quid. But you know what I mean? It is kind of... the thing with this is it's the stupidity of ponying up that much money for something completely unproven from someone with no track record, and it's purely sold on some other nimnos on Instagram said it might be cool, and it hadn't even happened. And they weren't going to anyway. But they posted an orange fucking square, and that was enough for these nimnos. And on one hand, I think, you know, they paid through the nose, and they didn't receive a service. And yes, they're fully entitled to sue his arse to hell and back and make sure he never gets out of prison. But at the same time, it's kind of, my sympathy is limited a bit, kind of like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What were you thinking? You know, you really need to have a good look at yourselves and what you're doing with your lives, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can go out and if you want a party, you can go to Burning Man, you can go to Glastonbury. There are fucking established festivals all around the world which will cost you a hundredth of what this Nimno was charging.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I guess it comes down to... I guess it comes down to that, what I was saying, you know, that whole thing about influencers and the internet and everyone wanting to be first and unique. That's the other thing. That's the thing that seems to be pushing this all the way through. And the thing that, you know, this guy capitalizes on, which is to, you know, that people want something exclusive. People want to be unique. Yes, we're all unique together. But, you know, it's that whole thing of, you know, the metallic fucking credit card. Who wants a metallic fucking credit card? Who gives a shit? It's going to be in your wallet for 90% of the time.
If you put
as far as I know, it didn't even work as a credit card. It
I
was just
don't
like a club card.
What were you going to say, Elton?
if you put like a limited number on it, then it's going to make influencers want this stuff.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly it. And that's the thing. It's that whole thing of, you know, if you show something to be exclusive, if you turn around and say you can't have this for love nor money, and you get someone famous to say that, then the cachet of that fame comes along with it. You know.
Well, up until when he got arrested, I always thought that this Billy guy was just like the ultimate blagger of flying off. He'll come back with another 3 million because he's been able to blag somehow this money from someone and told them that, you know, we need this money, but you will be part of this and it'll be great because all the influencers will be there and it'll spread it and you can't lose. And then he gets banged up and then taken out again. And then all of a sudden he's in this penthouse again doing the same low shit like a pyramid scheme or just phoning up and just constantly bombarding these same people again for more and more money.
Yeah.
And he's on probation as well. And you think that was a turning
I'm filming
point
it
where I
all,
thought
the
he
fucking
was a
dickhead.
cunt. Yeah. That was the bit where I thought, you bastard.
Well, that was also the other thing. Just what Jim just said there with filming it. That's when you suddenly go, no. He's not sort of innocent. He's not working it out. He hasn't just sort of fallen foul of trying to do something and overreaching his grasp. He literally is a sociopath. That was the instant. The instant it was like, you've got to film all this stuff. And then there was a guy sitting there in that living room going, "And why are you filming this?" And I honestly thought, you know, if you're going to con people, you know, don't film the fucking evidence, you dick.
It's like the rioters that broke into JD Sports and then filmed themselves with all their loot indoors. You think, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Posting up pictures of themselves going, "Hey, guess what? JD Sports." You know, it's like, what the fuck? And that almost again comes round to this whole thing of the internet and people wanting to be seen and to be, the fact that he actually has a bit filmed of himself going, that's a hustle right there. That's us sorting it out. We are, fucking these people over. And you go, well, if he's doing that and he's getting this guy to film it and he knows it, it's a narcissism. And that's essentially what the internet is, isn't it? It's the narcissism. Didn't
they say something at the beginning like that?
What's
so
that?
when he goes, "Oh, well, why are we doing this? Oh, so to get money out of losers."
Yeah.
Or something like that when they were on the island, living it up with the models.
Yeah. But the thing is, that's in some ways that whole getting money out of losers. That's just. I know this is going to sound callous, but that's almost like that's pretty much what every corporate anything is saying. Why are you selling this version of fucking Fallout 4 with a Pip-Boy, which is basically a plastic watch for an extra £200? And everyone's going, oh yeah, why are we doing this? Well, because we want to get money out of people who are losers who wear a fucking Pip-Boy. It's like, right, okay. Why are you selling a copy of sort of, this with a plastic doll on it? Because losers want a plastic doll. So I didn't feel quite as bad there. But when you're actually admitting on camera to a crime, which is what he was doing at the end, with these kind of calling up from one company trying to sell tickets that they didn't have to an event they couldn't go to, and then going, yeah, that's a hustle right there. It's like, right, okay, you're a sociopath and you're filming it. And it was just like, it's that whole thing of recognize me, notice me, senpai, as I say now and again. This sort of, see me, I'm here, look at these things I am doing. Look, I screwed you over and I did it, and it was all me.
They were also trying to disassociate themselves from it as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
There was that bit where, okay, there's the hustle, but as long as these emails don't lead back to us, or we close that account before anything leads back to us, then fine, we got away with it scot-free.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. Was it Angelo? Is it Angelo Rufaro, the press secretary, the one that turned up? And he turns up and he sort of, he says, "Don't. Are you filming this? Don't put me on this." Straight away, he's just like he knows this is, so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just blown away by the whole thing, to be honest. I just watched the whole thing unravel, and I just thought, oh my god, this is it's astoundingly awful. What also was kind of interesting, and maybe, this is the other side of the coin, but that guy who was trying to, Calvin Wells, the financier, who sort of like, as soon as the thing appeared, he was like, I'm going to prove this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He's kind of portrayed as, having his finger on the pulse right from the start. And that's fair enough, because that, history has borne it out and he was right. But on the other hand, he's a financier. And he literally started from the minute the word Fyre Festival came out. He was like, nope, this is wrong. This doesn't exist. This is bollocks. And the only thing the documentary doesn't kind of dive into is what gave him that inkling. Because to me, if he's a financier and he's saying, oh, I knew this was bullshit, this is not going to work, and I'm going to prove it, it's like, why? And it kind of, that was the only thing that was sitting in the back of my mind. Did he get offered the chance to finance Fyre Festival and then didn't, or got conned or something?
I suspect
maybe
kind of the very first push for the Fyre Festival, it was all kind of on Pablo Escobar's island, and I suspect, I mean, he might have been familiar with Pablo Escobar's island and pulled up Google Maps and thought, no fucking way.
Yeah.
I mean, so literally, as soon as you did the flyover in about the first 10 minutes of the island where originally was going to be, and I thought, you fucking kidding me? These people know nothing.
Yeah.
No, they don't even know. We're not even talking about basics of event management. We're talking about no grasp of actual scale.
Yeah.
Of how big a space you need for 100 people.
Yeah.
Let around 60,000. It's kind of like, is that it?
Yeah.
It's a rock with nothing on it.
Yeah. It's just a sand spit with some trees.
And I think literally, if you just sort of thought, oh, that sounds interesting, and pulled up Google Maps and saw that island, I think most people would go, hang on.
Yeah. You fucking what? Wow. So, yeah. Any other thoughts that leap to mind? Because
I've got something.
Go on.
Now, there's the question of was there one individual, and I'll tell you mine was there one individual out of all of the people that were affected, the sort of like the people, shall we call them the suburb people, the ones who weren't rich and famous organisers, but were the ones that were employed by them to do certain things. My question is, who was the one you felt sorry for the most? Now, I've got my answer to this straight away, and it was just, I actually sat there thinking to myself, surely someone could start a Kickstarter for this woman and get her money back. And that was the woman who I think was running the hotel.
Well, funny enough, she actually did. I looked her up.
She got her money back.
She did.
Excellent.
Marianne Roll, you're talking about, the one who was doing all the
caterer.
The caterer.
Yeah, she lost $50,000 of her own savings.
Well, okay then. Well, then let me tell you something that might just brighten your day. After this documentary went live back in 2019, January 2019. She obviously had to be credited, and so she got notified that she was going to be on it. And she put up a GoFundMe page for all of her staff. And within within 9 days of the Netflix thing going live, she had $290,000 in that GoFundMe page.
Excellent.
Oh, fantastic!
So, yeah.
Oh, that's pleased me no end.
So that should brighten your day a bit. Because
yes.
something good did come out of it in the end. So she got all her money back and then some.
Oh, that's good.
And she paid everyone. She got everybody paid off.
No, she went off to her own island and went, "Fuck you, losers!"
Yeah,
I'm out.
Peace out. I'm going to start Fyre Festival 2, Electric Boogaloo.
When we watched it, we said what should happen. Billy and Ja Rule should have been sentenced to work for her for 10 years on minimum wage.
Yeah.
Fucking no wage.
Well, yeah, even better.
Yeah. Fucking absolutely. I mean, Billy ended up in jail, but Ja Rule was the one. Ja Rule was the one where his shit don't stink. That was just the worst. Just the fact that he just turned up, rocked around, acted like the big man, had nothing to do but put his face in the window, sort of thing. Put his hand on the bonnet and somehow get money out of it. He was like the ultimate con man.
Yep.
Yeah,
well, he's got the money to fall back on anyway, though, hasn't he? It felt like Billy wanted to aspire to his bank account, but Ja Rule had that bank account. So he could just dip in and out whenever he wanted.
Yeah.
He was untouchable. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, okay, one last thing from me as well, then. That Andy King, there was a line from him where he said shit was going down and everyone was leaving the island. Billy was gone. Nobody knew where Billy was. And he decided to scarper. And he said, he sat there going, I still have PTSD from this. And I was sat there going, no, you have guilt. You felt really bad about the shit that went down there. And you all fucked up and you all know you're accountable for it, but you don't want to admit it. And you just scarpered. And that's what your guilt is. That's how it feels to you. And it just Maybe I'm wrong with that, but that was my initial impression because it just, oh, no, you fucked everyone over and left. You jumped in the back of a car and then hightailed it out of there. That says everything. You didn't walk out of town with your head held high, did you? You went in the back of a taxi cab.
Hiding.
Yeah. I mean,
in someone else's clothes.
Well, first off, and I will defend the guy because, again, you know, I've with Legionnaires, I have nothing but sympathy for anyone who was in that situation, stuck behind those two idiots who were kind of driving things forward, especially Captain fucking Quiet, who vanishes from production halfway through the show. That fucking Grant fella. Yeah. But the thing with that Andy guy is he came in as the Billy Whisperer, and so he was the guy who literally had to move that idiot around and make whatever that idiot wanted happen. Ultimately, I can almost tell you exactly what was going on there. That essentially people stopped going to Billy and started going to him, which meant that he was becoming the conduit for everything. So I can almost guarantee that yes, he probably does have PTSD from that thing. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but that sort of situation, and again, I only use my experience with Legionnaires, and that was literally only 18 months. But I will say to you that when you're in that sort of situation and you know you're in a shitstorm, and the only thing you can keep doing is pushing forward because otherwise you're not getting paid and things are getting worse. And, you know, like I say, I was, you know, 1 minute I'm a visual effects guy, next minute I'm lugging fucking flats into an inflatable fucking thing and trying to work out how to use a digital camera and trying to keep lights running inside an inflatable tent. You know, I mean, you start spinning plates and thinking, well, this is okay for 5 minutes, and then like an hour later you're sort of like, oh, this is a bit dodgy. And then you go, well, I need a bit of help, and there's no one around. And so I can easily imagine the bit that I identified most with throughout that whole thing was the bit where he turned around, and I can't remember what bit it was. I think it might have been just after the Evian bit, but where he said, I put the phone down, or I walked out of the room, and I sort of looked around, and I just stood in the room, and I cried. And he goes, I haven't cried for, you know, I've had a career of 30 odd years, and I just cried. And I'll confess, I've done this. I did exactly the same thing on Legionnaires. Literally 3 o'clock in the morning, and the director comes in. He hasn't got a fucking clue. He just makes some outlandish fucking comment, outlandish fucking request, and then puts upon you that the film isn't going to happen and the funding's not going to happen unless you do your part. And you're standing there like in a fucking car park outside the Hammer building in Elstree going, oh, so I'm not going home for Christmas. Right. That's great. And you're just like, there's no one around, and there's no one you can talk to, and there's no one who understands, and there's no one to help. And you do. To this day, I mean, when was Legionnaires? 1998?
I think it was, yeah.
97, 98?
Still got the T-shirt, man. Still got the T-shirt.
Yeah, but I still, to this day, have a bit of a twitch when I think about it. And some of the shit that happened there was unbelievable, because you're carried along by this guy and his enforcer, his producer, who are saying, you know, this is on you. What is happening right now is on you. And they did it to everyone in the production. And that's what's happening with Fyre Festival. All those people, they just, the people at the top are not looking at the people at the bottom as anything other than tools to get more money. And that's what I was doing with Legionnaires. I was making shit that was going into trailers for a film that didn't exist to make more money from the shareholders who were already getting a bit antsy because they didn't have the film they were promised in the time they were promised it. And like I say, the Fyre Festival was the same thing. So when he, and then there was that other one, that Mark guy, sort of starts going, look, this is just simply, you've got to stop. You've got to fucking stop. And they say, oh, well, no, you're a yoga expert now, so keep smiling, or whatever it was. It's just like, no, that's it. And then what does he do? That Mark guy literally has to face the music. He has to face the angry crowds. He has to stand in front of people and try and make a festival happen while he's standing on a fucking porch, while the people who actually caused all the grief are off on their toes. So that Andy guy is exactly the same. I'm not surprised he changed his clothes and fucked off. I mean, literally, the day the DTI kicked the fucking door in on Legionnaires, I pulled into the car park. I had 3 people from production come running out, hand me a whole heap of software and say, don't go in the building, turn around, drive away, because if the DTI see this, they'll seize all our software and hard drives. And it's like, what? No, hold on. I'm not going to be accessory to this shit. Hold on. What are you getting me to do? So, you get this shit just heaped upon you that, that if you don't do something, the failure of the project from here on in is your problem. And that's what I'm saying. Those people like that fucking Grant guy, they're exactly that kind of sociopath. They just come straight out and just go, here's all the stuff. Yes, it is a misdemeanor. Yes, it is a crime. Yes, it is withholding gear from the government. But you know what? I've given it to you. And if you get caught with it now and we all go down, it's your fault. And you're like, well, and you're sitting there thinking, well, 18 months of my life is about to go up in smoke and I'm not going to get paid for it. What do I do? Mm-hmm. And that Andy guy was exactly the same. I saw that in his eyes, and I saw it with that other guy, that Mark guy, the music event bloke and the fucking yoga teacher. The fact that I can even talk about it now, like it's 2020. I mean, it's like fucking 20 years ago. I'm still sitting there going, Twitch. I mean, yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Sympathy for Andy, or not having sympathy for him. And his complicitness in it. But I can see it. I can see all of those people getting sucked in. And I saw them do it. They bought the line from that Billy fella, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. I mean, they hook, line, sinker and copy of Angling Times, as they say in fucking Red Dwarf. I mean, yeah, seen it, done that, been there, bought the T-shirt. I mean, I had nothing but sympathy for him, nothing but sympathy for that Mark guy. And the other one was the Samuel, the fucking booker. the poor 18-year-old kid who's just suddenly like, yeah, please phone up Blink 182 and book them for this event. Well, how do I do that? I don't know. I've just come out of college. So anyway, sorry, I just went off on one there. Sorry, carry on. Anyway, what was the question again? You have sympathy for Darren? Anyone? Take over. I'm just going to twitch in a corner for a bit and hug myself.
Oh, I've done my bit. That's my piece there. That was my life. Really grateful.
Cool. Jim, any last thoughts, mate?
Well, the thing that, a lot sticks in my mind, but it's that final meeting where Ja Rule says, we just got to spin this. It's kind of...
Yeah.
It's kind of... that kind of fantasy over reality and this seeming idea that if you can stick it on the internet, that'll make it real and that can trump anything else. And it's kind of, I think it's a bit late to spinning this shit now. You know what I mean? I think it's gone too far. I think the word's out now.
Yeah.
Did you see how many clicks that cheese sandwich got?
Oh, the cheese sandwich. But that was.
I remember seeing that when it came out, and I pissed myself laughing because I'd heard the Fyre Festival. I thought this sounds like a fucking shit show.
Yeah,
I thought this sounds like a colossal rip-off. And when it turned out to be an insanely colossal rip-off, I did laugh at the time. And that cheese sandwich, I rolled on for about 3 days.
Nice.
You're like worse than airline food.
Yeah.
It was like a child's art project.
Nice. That was so good. I mean, the thing with the cheese sandwich though is a perfect example of exactly that whole. It shows that the whole thing of. I mean, I think the one of was it the Jerry CEO guy who said, you know, all these supermodels had sort of got us up to 100,000 clicks a day or something, and then one cheese sandwich brought us down to 100,000 clicks negative a day. And it was just like, and that's the internet right there. Just that whole thing of one right picture hit the right mood with the right people, and then something will happen. And it's almost, you know, and you almost think, well, again, you know, you live by the sword, die by the sword. That was a really interesting counterbalance of that sort of 1 minute you got this nice, perfectly designed orange square overlaid over various pictures of scantily clad ladies. And it's like, wow, everyone's in for it. Then it's like, here's a cheese sandwich. And everyone's like, wow, what a disaster. It was just really interesting. And again, it was back to that whole thing of, you know, the internet just controls people's minds. Sorry, I'm going off on one now. I'm going to wear me tinfoil hat in a minute. Elton, have you got a tinfoil hat floating about, mate?
No. Some bloke called Billy bought it off of me and said that he was going to make like a hat stand stall out of it. I thought, yeah, do you know what? I gave him my credit card and everything.
Yeah. Anyway, so any last final thoughts, or shall we wrap it up there?
No, I'm burnt out on this one now.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Ha ha. Okay then, guys. Well, yeah. Sorry again if I've rambled over the top of everyone, but like I say, PTSD, man. It was flashbacks. I was literally flashing back to 1998, going, "Oh fuck, I've been here. I've done this shit. I've done this exact shit. I've been here. Don't make me go back." So now it's time to before we say goodbye to everyone, to display our next film. What are we going to review next week? Well, it's my choice next week, and I had 3, and I could not decide. So I decided right now, well, earlier on, that what I was going to do was I'm going to put the 3 of them like a wheel of fortune on this podcast for my cohorts to vote upon. There's no clues, no nothing. I have purely one good one that I haven't seen. One, I'd say an old favourite, and one that's probably bloody awful. And I have all 3, and they are behind 3 random numbers, and it is down to you guys to decide which one I go for. I've got them fairly laid out. I've taken a photograph of the layout, so if there's any doubts. So, gentlemen, 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, go for 3.
You want to go for 3, Jim? Are you in agreement?
I'll go for 3. It's the magic number, or so De La Soul told me.
Is it? Right, okay. Elton, are you willing to go for 3?
I will bow to their superior knowledge, so yes, I'll go with 3.
Okay. Well, number 3 is a film that's just been available on Amazon. It is a film from, he says, rapidly typing it in, because I wasn't expecting this one to come up. Right, okay. This is from 1987, this film. And it stars one Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yeah, from 1987. And it is The Running Man.
Oh. Sub-Zero, no.
Just plain zero. Yes. So there you are, with music by Harold Faltermeyer, starring such amazing actors as Mick Fleetwood, And directed by Paul Michael Glaser, a.k.a.
Starsky.
Starsky, yeah. Starsky. He actually directed this. Based so utterly loosely as to be almost incredibly difficult to notice that it was actually based on a Stephen King short story called The Running Man.
How has the Black Dog never done this?
I have no idea. I don't know how we've managed to avoid it, but you know what? There you go. It's there. It's on our list, and it is on Amazon Prime. You can get The Running Man.
I'll be back. Only in a rerun, Sam.
Only in a rerun. Starring Jesse Ventura as Captain Freedom, Yaphet Kotto, Richard Dawson as Killian, and Maria Conchita Alonso when she was big in the 80s. So there you go. This is going to be interesting. How long has it been since we last saw this film? All of us. Or have we any of us seen it?
Years. I've read the book, or should I say, I've read the short story as well.
No, it's a novel, actually.
It's novel, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It's one of the Richard Bachman.
Richard Bachman, yeah. And it is totally
different.
Completely and utterly different from, I mean, was it that film, Series 7, The Contenders, is closer to The Running Man than the actual film The Running Man was.
Yep, that's right. So are you looking forward to seeing this in Dow?
Actually, you know what? In a quite a perverse way, yes.
Okay. What about you, Elton?
I haven't seen this in 20 years, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, looking forward to this. This was a firm favourite.
Yeah, okay, cool. And Jim?
Well, I actually watched this last year.
Oh, right.
And did a commentary club on it. So.
Yep.
I thought it was a very interesting film to come back on. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I thought it was like just kind of low tier Arnie sci-fi. I always felt it was a bit kind of the poor man's Total Recall. And at the time I was very irritated. It wasn't like the book. It was just cheesy nonsense.
Yeah.
But when you come back to it now, there's a lot of things in you to go, oh, that's interesting, in the light of what's happened since, because now actually we are in the future of The Running Man.
Yes,
we are.
Yeah. So it's
interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to make an interesting discussion next week.
Cool. Okay, and I have not seen this since the last time I saw this. I think I watched it on VHS. That should tell you all you need to know. I mean, I haven't had a VHS player in my house since mid-90s, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go. So, I think it'll be interesting to watch as well. I mean, I only remember the quotes, but that's really about it, really. Does anybody want to know what the other two films were, by the way? Or should we leave that
go
for
on
next time? Well, you could have had a Source Code, and then the other option, which was under number 2, was Police Academy Mission to Moscow.
Bloody hell!
Wow! Oh man, we dodged a bullet with that one, didn't we?
Didn't we just?
Fucking hell, Fyre.
So there you go. Yeah.
Source Code will make it one day, though.
Source Code will make it, definitely. But
unfortunately, so will Police Academy.
Yeah, well, the original Police Academy's just appeared on Amazon as well. There you go. And then I can break out my Steve Guttenberg seeing him at Panto story again. But anyway, right, okay, so that's it. So next week we will be doing The Running Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger quips and mid-80s spandex sci-fi. And of course Mick Fleetwood with his fantastic acting and long coat. So before we go, let's find out what our other hosts are doing elsewhere. So Jim, tell us all the news that's fit to print about Hypnagoria Land.
Well, on my main show, I'm currently doing a 2-parter on film versions of The Colour from Outer Space. Part 1's dropped. Part 2 is just about finished to go out this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm releasing a new commentary club on Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Readings podcast, I think I'm going with an E.F. Benson story, The Man Who Went Too Far.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Okay. And Elton.
I have just released an episode of Shonky Lab.
Cool.
My very first solo episode. So please tread kindly. Very, very kindly indeed. So that is up now. It's actually up right now.
And what's the subject?
The subject, it's what's going on at the moment. I just needed to get stuff off my chest. So
Right.
download it, find out. And,
Cool.
If you like it, let me know. If you don't, move along.
Yeah. Keep quiet.
Yeah.
Sharp and just let me be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, Into the Expanse, the last episode of season 4 has just been, will be released by the time this is up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it. The Expanse is now up to date. I'm still doing a Grand Prix podcast as well, so you can find all of these episodes over at rogue2media.com.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Darren, have you got anything yet?
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh,
I
go
will
on,
be making yet another appearance on The Great Derelict.
Yep.
We'll be recording this Friday. I'm not sure whether Andy's actually announced the episode, so I won't say what the subject's about. I'll leave that to him.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like we're recording this Friday.
Okay. Cool. Well, in which case you can find The Great Derelict over at greatderelict.libsyn.com. So there you go. Right. Cool. And yeah, like I say, I've been doing midnight weird hour drawings that you can find on my ArtStation page, which is artstation.com/cartoonbeardy, on my Instagram page, which is instagram.com/cartoonbeardy. And you can join us all on the Facebook group for Black Dog stuff, which is facebook.com/groups/Black Dog Podcast. Also, if you've seen this episode, seen this show, the film Fyre, the greatest party that never happened, over on Netflix, and you've got some thoughts on the matter, or you've got some feedback on this episode, send it in to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. Right, so that's that. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Elton.
No problem.
And yes, we shall see you all next week for The Running Man. Runners, start running! Until... Sub-Zero, now just plain Zero. Right.
Get to the chalk ice.
Yes. Okay. So we'll see you all. We'll see you all next week for an Arnie quote-a-thon special, I'm sure. Until
Bad
then,
accents ahoy.
oh, you know it. Until then, take care and speak to you soon. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Oh, bollocks to it.